you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Then welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. As always, for 16 years, 2,000 episodes, we bring you the Chris Voss Show. The most wonderful people, the smartest people, the brightest minds that can share with you their journeys, their cathartic moments, and improve the quality of your life. Because I've seen your life, and it needs some work, people. I'm just being honest with you. We all need some work in this town, so that's what it's all about. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTok, and Chris Voss, Facebook.com. We have Greg Payne on the show with us today. He is a trauma-trained life coach and breathwork practitioner with expertise in brain spotting. We're going to find out what that's all about. My understanding is brain spotting is where you go on X, which used to be Twitter, and you try and find people with brains. Anyway, we'll find out more. This is probably not the right definition. Anyway, Greg is a certified life coach, a Reiki master teacher, and has been a Reiki master in the Usui lineage. Usui lineage for 13 years. I knew that. As an energy medicine practitioner, he combines ancient and modern healing techniques to cultivate deep healing within the mind, body, and spirit. And with his practitioner experience, he works with groups and individuals and does brain spotting as a certified practitioner and deep trauma work that gained from the Catalyst Insight Collective and PESI. And he's cultivated a relationship with Cambo and served as a sacred frog medicine as well, or served it. Welcome to the show, Greg. How are you?
Thanks. It's good to be here. I'm doing all right. It's a nice day here in Minnesota.
Minnesota. What was the lakes, right? The lakes of Minnesota, is that what they're known for?
Little lakes everywhere.
Yeah. Is there more lakes than there are land?
There's more land. The lakes are like dotted here and there are a lot of small ones. There's tons and tons of land.
Yeah, maybe those lakes will get together and make some big lakes. So, Greg, give us your .com. So where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
It's awakened-roots.com.
Mm-hmm. And give us a 30,000 overview in your words of what you do.
Generally, what I do in a nutshell, I help treat people to heal their mind, body, and spirit. And I use different modalities like you mentioned before. As a coach, I can give people the clarity to match certain obstacles that they're facing. As a Reiki master, I can work to my hands-on healing Reiki practice to work all sorts of physical, mental health benefits as well. And with breath work, I produce transformational change by sitting either one-on-one with my clients or by hosting events.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What was your upbringing? What was your childhood? What influenced you? And how did you get into this?
I was raised in Lawrence, Kansas. I was born and raised in the Kansas area I stayed there for at least the first 30 years of my life. I was traditionally trained as a soccer player, bike racer. I first dropped into this healing game with my pursuit of being a professional athlete. That fell through. I was trying to learn how to master my body and learn how to work with Reiki and other healing principles as well as a segue from my bike racing career choice.
Did you BMX biking, mountain bike racing, 10-speed racing?
10-speed. Yeah, I was road bike racing. We raced up to 100 miles at a time.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a wild business.
Yeah, a solid 8 years of my life was dedicated to trying to get as fast as I could on that little 10-speed bike.
Yeah, I mean, could their pants get any smaller and tighter? That's all I want to know.
Nope, they get super thin, super small. You can almost see through them.
Yeah, it's like, you see the guys running those. I'm like, are those the same guys or girls that are at the gym wearing the yoga pants where I can see clean up to their clavicles? I don't even know what clavicle anyway. I don't know what that means. Anyway, I tease the girls at the gym. So let's establish some foundation of definition so people don't know. Let's say there's people in the audience that might not know what the Reiki thing is. Am I pronouncing that right too?
It's pronounced Reiki, like a ray.
Reiki. See, that's why you're the professional. I'm not at this. So with Reiki, give us a ground floor definition of what that is and why is that so important? How does it make a difference?
Reiki is a hands-on healing method. It utilizes the hands to convey universal healing energy, and it can be done either directly above someone or hands on the skin to send a really high-quality level of healing touch through their body.
Wow. I just usually pay somebody to beat me up as a boxer, and then, but I don't find there's much healing in it. It seems like there's more wounding, so I'm not sure I'm doing it right, but I don't think it's Reiki.
Yeah, that's a little bit more aggressive than Reiki. Reiki is very, very gentle, very, very subtle.
See, I always thought Reiki was a specialized new adaptive disruptive rake tool that was developed by those infomercials in the 90s. So
I could be. You never know with all the spelling tricks they come up with. Reiki.
Yeah, there you go. Who's that guy? Pompey? The Daniel Papay. He was the guy who did all those infomercials back in the day. It was funny. What now? You do another thing called Brainspotting. I thought it was kind of interesting because I spend most of my time on social media trying to find brains, real brains. There are people using their brains. Let's put it that way. What is Brainspotting?
Brainspotting is a mode of psychotherapy. It utilizes the approach of that your brain is mapped to your visual field and tries to find spots in your visual field called brain spots that are then accessed to dig into underlying activation triggers, response patterns that might be triggering people to have anxiety attacks, depression, panic attacks, that kind of thing.
Panic attacks, always the things they can avoid. And why is Brainspotting important? How does it help people with trauma? How does it help disassociate them and things along those lines?
That's a good question. One reason that trauma is so difficult to deal with is because it can get stored beneath your cognitive mind, beneath your reasoning and your language centers, and Brainspotting gives you the chance to see what is beneath your language center. You access the subcortical mind, where the mind holds its feelings and a lot more depth than just what you can reach with more normal thinking processes and logic and narratives.
And so by using, I think we talked about this in the green room, you use people focus on a spot or something like that, and it helps disassociate the connected emotion to trauma.
Yeah, the practitioner will hold a metal pointer. The pointer will be used to map across the visual field, and once we find an activating spot, we sustain attention on that spot with the pointer. And while this clinician holds the pointer, the client will feel the activation and allow it to resolve itself gently.
That works better than the Brainspotting process I've been using. Anytime I need some idiot to start using their brain and spot it, I just slap them upside the head. And no, don't do that, folks. That's against the law. That's assault. That's violence. Don't do that. It's just jokes, people. We do the jokes. Yeah. So, but no, I see how that can kind of work. You were mentioning the visual, we tend to visually associate trauma. And so by reprogramming that, what would you call it? A sort of a root point or a connection point, or I'm trying to think of something Anthony Robbins calls it. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And so, what drew you to do this, and what? I mean, you kind of told me what you got into it, but why do you really love it and enjoy it in helping other people?
I've always been a big fan of brain science and neuro-linguistic programming, like Tony Robbins talks about, preaches pretty consistently. Yep. I was actually started off a long time ago studying Anthony Robbins' neuro-linguistic programming. I got really interested in Brainspotting when I encountered somebody who showed me that by holding just a pointer in front of me, I could stare at it and feel a ton of activity in my body, a ton of activity in my mind, and I really feel like anxiety and panic disappear, like being pulled out of you while you're sitting in front of the pointer.
Wow. That sounds like the time I took some edibles that were expired. No, I'm just kidding. No, I can see how that makes a difference in how we connect things. I mean, what's that old line? I think there's a book about it. The body remembers, or the
body keeps the score.
The body keeps the score. That's
it.
The
body keeps the score.
And basically, we store this stuff in our bodies, and some people are storing more in their bodies. Like I've got some cupcakes too that I've stored in my body, along with the trauma, and I'm still trying to get the cupcakes out. Is there anything you can do about that? No, I'm just kidding. Some breath work for that.
Maybe.
Yeah. Now, breath work in the same way, you're a breath work facilitator, certified, that is. And how does that really help people? I mean, breath work is just something I try and do by staying alive every day. I thought that was just me getting up in the morning.
Yeah, breathing while staying alive is really one of the most fundamental, foundational ways that breath is moving your energy and healing you, keeping you up and sustained. The approach that we use takes a little bit of a more intentional approach to giving attention to the breath, awareness of the breath, and how you hold tension in your lungs, your throat, your mouth, maybe in your jaw.
Mm-hmm.
And by giving attention to your breath, you can get things moving that might be stuck. Like when you're having a breathwork session, you can experience altered states of consciousness and even really serious, strong tingling sensations in your body, hands, feet, all that trauma, like you mentioned, stored in your body. And it's pre-verbal, so words don't get there. The breath activates some of those primal, really, really old pre-verbal systems where trauma can be worked out.
And I imagine some people, since the body keeps a score and it stores trauma inside of us, the breath can help release that maybe from the muscles or help. I mean, imagine it's kind of a little bit of meditation, right?
Yeah, it's totally a meditation style. It actually takes its roots from pranayama yoga, which is thousands and thousands of years ago in India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us about that type of yoga and how is it different than other type of yogas and why do the other yogas suck? No, I'm just kidding.
In my opinion, yoga is all one huge body of awareness, and the breathwork portion, pranayama yoga, is just the breath only and cultivates connection and awareness to the body through the breath instead of the stretches that everyone's thinking of when they think about yoga. It's the same ancient body of wisdom, just one specific offshoot of it or branch that I've chosen to give my attention to.
And so, why did you feel that was the most important one?
I discovered it on a fluke. One time I was visiting my hometown of Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas, and there happened to be a huge, humongous breathwork event taking place in one of the local Holiday Inns. And I signed up on a lark, and I wound up having one of the strongest healing experiences of my life. I let go of trauma out of my physical body, my spine, my legs, my neck, my voice, all that stuff improved for the better that day. And I was kind of hooked on becoming a student of the breath ever since then.
And breathing is so important. I mean, just for giving life in and of itself, but some of the things that it does, I mean, it helps us process the sewer system of our body and, keep all the fluids moving. But you need to, I think it was Tony Robbins talked about how a certain breathing move where you breathe in through your nose a whole lot and then you hold it and then you slowly breathe out your mouth helps your lymph node systems, or at least that's what he claimed.
Yeah, he's totally right about that. That breathing method is called circular breathing, and it actually stems from the same ancient yoga practices from before. Yeah, I don't know if Tony knew that or not, but he was referencing the old yoga from Indian masters.
Yeah.
With that circular breathing.
Yeah. I even use it when I poo. Helps everything come out fine. I don't know what that means, folks. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, breathing smooths everything out.
Yeah, you just relax those muscles so that you can. I think there's breathing. I think P. Diddy uses breathing at his parties. Anyway, lots of muscle relaxation. So what else do we need to know about what you do and how you do it, how you coach with all that other stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I work with clients one-on-one, I have them lay on their back. I teach them the breath work practice and teach them a little bit more about the breath. I ask them to tune in on a specific goal or something that's bothering them. And the breathwork session is my guidance, their breathing. They breathe typically a 2-count inhale and a 1-count exhale, and it has the effect of gradually bringing them into a meditative state of awareness. And I can watch them and see maybe they have a catch on the inhale, maybe they can't inhale all the way up into their upper chest, and that's causing them to feel anxiety or anger or panic feelings. And we work on those for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. What do you find a lot of your clients suffer from the most, and what type of clients do you work with? I know we said individual groups, but give us some more clarification on that.
Yeah, I've worked with a variety of types of clients. Grief, romantic issues with the panic or anxiety, job transitions, even just general boredom with life. These are all symptoms of nervous system activation problems, and the breath re-energizes the nervous system, re-energizes the lymph nodes, like you mentioned, and also the blood flow, physical body, digestion, all of that gets involved.
Yeah, sometimes we're always looking for diversions like food, TV, bad habits, procrastinating. I'm just describing myself at this point. And so really a lot of these things aren't healthy for us. I mean, if you've got a nervous habit, putting food in your pie hole is not a good idea. And, I mean, it's okay to eat, but, some people are eating whole cakes. I might be talking about myself again. And, some people go to drinking, drugs, something to take them away or to distract them from how they're feeling. And so it sounds like it's a lot more maybe self-conscious, self-responsible, self-actualized to instead face it and deal with it in your body and clean it out. And that way you're not, you're not turning into heroin and cocaine like I am on Fridays or something.
Yeah, all those diversions are indications that your system's holding a little bit more pain than you might want to admit to yourself. When I feel too much pain and watch too much TV, I would rather turn to breath work to give me the chance to find out what's actually going on in my feeling world. To see if I'm afraid of losing my job, afraid of a relationship issue, or anything that the snack break will not cover, the TV break won't help you to connect with, and just repeats the cycle if you indulge in some of these things.
I have a big fear my girlfriend won't leave me, and I really need some peace and quiet and catch up on Modern Warfare 3. So my big fear is that she's never going to leave. So clearly I need to do some work on something. I don't know. Why is that never a problem in my life? So this has been really insightful. Does anybody... What other sort of things might people have out there in the ailments division that they can work with you on, or that you can help with on, or want to make sure we suss out all your different services you offer?
Yeah, they might be suffering from insomnia. They might suffer the recent loss of a loved one. They might have had some job change that gave them a loss in confidence. Giving attention to the breath can give you a chance to not hold and stuff those feelings down, not hold and stuff them in places that just fester and cause you to suffer extra. Breathwork lets your body remove them, eject tension, stress, pain that could be nervous issues or anxiety issues or panic symptoms or fear that you can't explain. Breathwork gives your body the chance to understand why it's holding on and maybe choose to let go gently and carefully and mindfully.
It's so interesting how some of the simplest things, sit down and breathe, take a gel pill, relax, focus on what's going on with your mind and body. Why don't people invest more in these sort of things? Or is it a lack of knowledge, or they think they don't have time, or that you think they I don't know, they're just making excuses for themselves, or what's the deal? Why aren't people fixing their trauma? Because I'm out dating and it's awful.
Yeah, I want to say it's a combination of all of the above. They might be unknowledgeable. This knowledge hasn't exactly spread across the main atmosphere of our culture. They might be avoiding it a little bit, but the problem with that is sometimes someone thinks they're avoiding a small challenge, and it's small at first, and if they avoid it 50 times in 5 months, it becomes a bigger one, and they keep giving it the same treatment, that overlooking, neglecting, eating a sandwich to divert attention from those feelings. And they might just sit on traumas that build for decades or their whole life sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, in the dating field, I run big dating groups for a dating meetup that we have, where people meet in person to mingle, and the amount of emotional damage and unresolved trauma that is out there in the marketplace is just astounding. It's just. If I was a psychiatrist, I'd just go to singles meetups all day long.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I might be speaking for myself here, so I'm not out of turn. But no, I've actually resolved my damage and I'm healed. But what's interesting is when you do go through that process and stuff, you see other people and you can identify their damage and what they're going through with their trauma, and you don't want any part of it. It's kind of like when you give up alcohol, probably for AA. I quit alcohol just because I got tired of feeling like shit at 54. But, I imagine, if you quit alcohol, you don't want to hang around with other people who are drinking alcohol.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And so it's funny. You see people that have trauma, and right away I'll see it and I'll be like, oh, I don't want that near me. Why not? Because I put up with that for the first 50 years. I'm not doing any more of that. I don't care if it's on you or me. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, and who could blame you? Trauma is difficult to be around. It can cause you pain, cause mindless choices, reckless decisions, expensive ones maybe.
Oh,
Trauma is totally a burden.
oh yeah. I mean, it can cost you your life. I mean, and it's interesting how much it just really drags on your life, the quality of your life, and just can really affect everything. That's the thing about trauma. You can look back like over the last years of your life, and you can see after a while the pattern of you just dragging your unresolved issues through the sand or the dirt this whole time.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting out there, and more people need to take a look at what their childhood trauma is, and whether it's big T trauma or little T trauma, how it's influenced them. Sounds like you talk about some men's issues too as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, with men, the men that I work with, my goal is usually to get them to step up, feel secure, understand their purpose, understand their mission, and maybe examine some of the causes of their frustration. Like in the case of men, we do divert relatively often. If we're carrying trauma, we don't know about it. No one tells us. We're not aware. We can play video games. We can get lost in social media. We can eat too many pizzas on a Friday night or sleep in until 1 p.m. It's sad to watch so many men losing purpose, not understanding why, and carrying trauma for decades sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean, it'll affect you. It'll get to you. So, anything more we need to know before we go out on what people should do with you? How can they onboard with you? Of course, handshake with you, find out if you're a fit to each other and working well together. Tell us how that can all get laid out.
Oh yeah, the easiest method is that they reach out to me on my website. My website has a built-in feature that lets people sign up for free for a 30-minute consult with me or my partner.
Mm-hmm.
The website also has events that are very, very affordable. We host a once-a-month online group breathwork session. There's always power in numbers, so the group breathwork sessions get a lot of energy moving and a lot of engagement that you might not find in a solo practice.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, for those lucky enough to live in Minneapolis near us, once-a-month live sessions. We have up to 20 people breathing all at once together, and that's also a powerful experience to talk about it together. Maybe the experience is intense or difficult or isolating, and joining up with a group and either the online session or in-person session gives some real transformational power.
Oh, so you have both online and in person then?
Yep, once a month each.
And then where are you located if people want to do the in-person thing? You're in Minnesota, right?
Yeah, we're located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, 7 miles from Minneapolis and St. Paul, basically.
Years ago, I was
in the Twin Cities area.
Okay. And Minnesota. They had, I'm pretty sure it was Minnesota. Years ago when I was looking at getting huskies or wolves, I found some husky wolf hybrids up in Minnesota, and they were black, and they were more wolf than anything. And they were beautiful and scary as hell.
Wow, yeah, I bet so. I met some dog sledding dogs in Alaska one time, and they're scary. They look totally wild and feral and very, very sinewy and strong.
Oh, yeah. My friend got a half-breed wolf, not from Minnesota, but someplace. And I remember going to his house one day, and that thing could blood-curdling howl. And I go, your neighbors hate you. And he goes, yeah. And I go, I think I'm just going to get huskies. I'm not going to do this half-wolf thing.
Yeah, that's asking for a whole lot of wildness.
Yeah.
You get a wolf hybrid.
Yeah. Although it might be great, when you want to, you've got that rotten child who's in your neighborhood that you're just like, maybe that's time for this one to go. You can just throw them in the backyard and things take care of themselves or something. Don't do that, folks. That's just kidding. I'm doing jokes. Don't write me. So, Greg, it's been wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to have been here. Thank you so much for having me, Chris.
Thank you. And thanks for tuning in for 20 years or 16 years. It's almost 20 years. 4 more years and it'll be 20 and 2,000 episodes. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss on the TikTok and all this crazy place on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. Keep breathing. And we'll see you next time.